All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Samuel Onyemi. To God be the glory. This is Red Conference 2022. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone. I know you can be doing a lot of things with your Saturday, but today you decided to come hang out with us. A big thank you to all of the speakers as well. Both speakers are ready to go. I want to say a massive thank you to the speakers as well. So today is going to be a bit of today is going to be regular conversation, and like I said, the speakers are ready to go. I am ready to go myself. I have a bit of noisy environment due to uncontrollable reasons, but I promise you guys, it's going to be amazing. And myself, I'm ready to learn because without wasting too much of our time, if you don't mind, please and please drop the link and definitely share it on your timelines, on your social media, and so that somebody else can have the benefits to learn, to lead in a better way, and more importantly, to advance their life in a very reasonable. So again, I won't waste too much of our time. I know a lot of us can be getting ready for the World Cup, for the third place position that is about to kick off. But please hang in here with us and let's have a wonderful. So I'm going to tell us real quick about Red Conference, the idea behind the Red Conference, and also tell us a little about the topic. And I'll tell us a little bit about the speakers for this year's conference. So the idea behind Red Conference is just the opportunity for us. It is the meaning of Red Conference is redeemed, empowered, and determined, regardless of. Let me just do some tech check here. If you can hear me, just drop in the chat that you can hear me so I can know that you can hear me. You can drop a thumbs up. You can just say I can hear you, welcome, or something, so I can know that you can hear me. And today I'm not doing it by myself. I have an amazing friend and brother that is at the background and also ready to help out with things. His name is Adia Yokwemi. So a big shout out to him for all the work he's doing in the background for us. And also thanks to one of the speakers is already ready, is lined up and ready to go. So big shout out to him as well. So just quick tech check up and make sure you guys can hear me. Okay, I just got notified that there was a chat that came in. Actually, I can't see the chat, but I believe you guys can hear me. So, for those that are streaming, if you can hear me, please and please hit me up. All right, so back to just definition of Red Conference. The idea behind it is to get us ready for the new year. The idea is to get us not just motivated, but action driven. We just with this short conversation so that we can get to a better place and better position in the new year. The topics, the team was given, and the topic were pretty much uh, driven by the speakers. They were created by the speakers, so we don't have control over what they say. Um, it is a general platform for anyone to join. Our speakers are also Christians. I'm a Christian, so they can make religious references. Please don't take offense to that. Please and please just be aware we are all Christians, but this is not a religious program. All right. So we came up with this idea so we can get us equipped, encouraged, and empowered for the new year. And that's what the speakers will be doing today. So this year's team will be talking about the leaders of today. While we're growing up, we've always been hearing the topic, the leaders of tomorrow, the leaders of tomorrow. And the tomorrow has been around for a long time, but it seems like we're not leading. So, what are the causes of us not leading or not seeing effective leadership in our space? And when I say space, I mean in the Nigerian space, in the Nigerian community, in the lifestyle of an average Nigerian youth. So the leader of tomorrow, for me, for almost 30 years now, I've been hearing that phrase. You guys are the leaders of tomorrow. And the tomorrow is today now. So how do we start leading? And more importantly, how do we start pushing other people to lead to greatness? So that's where I will be focusing on here in a few minutes. The next speaker is getting ready. He has about 4 minutes to join us. And but before that, I want to say something about leadership. And leadership is not a position that you attain, that you have attained. Leadership is something that you get. Everyone is a leader. The way I say it, everyone is a leader, but not everyone is an effective leader, and not everyone is a productive leader, a productive or a fruitful leader. So when I say fruitful leader, in my own word, I'm talking about somebody that is bearing fruit with their leadership. And personally, I see myself as a leader, but my leadership start from my life, being able to lead myself into the next step, and more importantly, being able to bear fruit and lead other people to their own next step. And no one is exempted from leading, because every day you step out to go from point A to point B, you're leading. So just keep that in mind. Nobody everyone is a leader, but not everyone is an effective leader. So without wasting too much of our time, I'll get the introduction for our speaker, our very first speaker of tonight, ready. It does not need introduction for those who are in the Nigerian space right now. If you listen to a lot of online radio, if you listen to radio in the Yoruba land, um, Ekiti precisely is on the radio on Wednesday. He's an He's a policy advocate. He's an entrepreneur. He's a mentor. Um, he's a thoughtful leader. So he anchors a radio program every Wednesday, which I was opportune to be on sometimes this year. A very, very educating program. He also has a program that he just started, King of Debate Competition. So one of the things, one of from this program that he's doing, you can tell this man has a passion for people's growth. He has a desire for us as Nigerians to be our own leaders, be our own leaders in our different community. So Voice FM Ekiti 89.9 every Wednesday from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. You will hear his voice on the radio, um, interviewing people, giving his opinion, and also listening. I have the opportunity to know him personally. He is a mentor of mine for many years. He has been a very, very encouraging person to me personally, his lifestyle and the way he listens. So, um, without wasting too much of our time, a good mentor, a good friend, um, our brother, Oluwashola Ayegusi. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will go on mute because I also want to listen. I also want to learn. Because of his schedule, is not on is not in a slightly better position than I am in sitting in a noisy environment myself, but he is ready. I know for sure he is ready. He stays ready. I've seen the PowerPoint. I have no doubt that this is going to be an amazing session. So I'll keep my mouth shut so I can learn myself. Thank you very much for putting all the effort in, uh, our brother, Mr. Shola Ahebusi. Please take the floor, give us your knowledge, and over to you, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Can you confirm if you can hear me? Can you hear me? I'm actually waiting for a feedback. Samuel, if you can hear me, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I
Oh,
can
you
hear
can
you.
hear me. Good. All right. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Okay,
So,
thumbs up if you can hear us as well.
oh, good,
Okay,
good,
thank
good.
you, Fatah Faith. Thank you. All right.
Oh, great. All right. Yeah, it's glad to be here, and I must say that kudos to the organizers of this conference. I want to believe that it's a good thing to put together. I'm sure that I will learn. You would also have something to learn. So keep an open mind because at the end of the day, whatsoever you're taught, you are expected to digest it. You're expected to think about it. You're expected to then take action because that's what is really, really very important. So in the next 30 minutes or so, I'll be talking to you about collaborative problem solving. That's one of the topics to be considered today. And it's my privilege to be taking this topic. Once again, thanks to Samuel, thanks to the organizers of this conference. So um, let's get it started. Collaborative problem solving. I'm sure this might not be the first time you are getting to know about this. Well, maybe first time for some people, but then whether it's your first time or not, it doesn't really matter. It's something we need to really, really look at. There are problems everywhere, and it's really, really pertinent that we must begin to look at problem solving because at the end of the day, it's going to do all of us immense good. So, collaborative problem solving. So, for me, it's about people helping people, people helping people. Now, you will notice that people is being repeated there. People helping people. And so, well, I wish I can have an idea of who and who is on this, I mean, in this meeting. Um, you know, I mean, can I have a sense of the number? I'm actually somewhere. Sam.
Yes, pulling statistics now, we have people on YouTube and the website
About
itself. I'm looking at an average of 10, at least Facebook and
10. Okay,
YouTube. Yes, let's say 10.
10. Okay, good. Now, 10 people, actually, 10 people. So even if we are more than 10, fine, but then we have 10 people. So imagine that this program is put together and nobody showed up. Just imagine that. This program was put together. As a matter of fact, this program was put together. So sorry about my background. I'm so sorry. This program was put together to solve a problem or maybe problems. Okay. Imagine that this is put together and nobody showed up. Or even the people that are supporting Samuel decide not to show up. All right. So Samuel has a vision, has something to implement, but the team members decided not to show up. I see him the other time, giving a shout out to Okwe and some other people. That's fantastic. That's because they've collaborated together to solve a problem. All right. Okay, good. So let's move to the next slide because I want to really really move very fast so that we can also have time to ask questions. So in this session, you get to know about me very briefly. You get to know about problems. Never mind the way I put this content together. You get to know about problems. You get to know about collaboration, which is, the very reason why we are here. Then you get to know about peace. Okay, I have a few quotes under those items. The first one: alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. um, think about these things. Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence win championships. I'm sure a lot of you are following the World Cup. I wish that Ronaldo can win the World Cup alone, but then it's not possible. It's never, never, never possible for Ronaldo, no matter how good. Okay, sorry, Sam, for making you an example. No matter how good Sam is, he needs somebody. All right. No matter how knowledgeable you are, you are in this conference, you still need extra knowledge. All right. Okay. So we can all come together as a team to win championships. I tell you, Morocco is moving, is doing so well. Even if they don't get the third place, I tell you, they have collaborated very effectively and they've broken records, whether you like it or not. Okay. So teamwork begins by trusting, by building trust. A lot of people don't trust anybody. Well, you may have reasons for doing that, no problem. But then, as we move on in this session, you get to understand why you need to begin to trust people, one way or the other, for you to know peace. Okay, you really need to know peace. It is literally true that we can succeed best and quickest by helping others to succeed. Okay, we can collaborate, we can work together, we can help someone achieve his own vision. Someone else can help you achieve your own vision, and we move together and achieve a lot by just doing that. And I tell you, by doing that, you know peace. You know peace. Okay, I really wish that Dangote can just do things, do everything on its own, but it's not possible. I wish that what's the name of this Microsoft man now? Bill Gates can just do things. You know, as a matter of fact, Bill Gates will scout for very intelligent people. I had a story, I mean, so many years ago. I don't know how true it is. That Microsoft got someone from Lautech, that the guy is very good and all of that. He ended up working in Microsoft just because of an innovation, just because of something that he developed that Microsoft felt, is going to help them. And so they are collaborating and doing something together, to be able to solve problem. That's just it. No matter how good Bill Gates is, it cannot solve all the problems. That's just it. It cannot. God, in his infinite mercy, has not put the solution into the hands of one single person, and it will never happen. It will never happen. Okay, I don't know the church that you attend. I don't know the mosque that you attend, but for even our religious leaders, no matter how anointed, no matter how powerful they are, they need a lot of people to collaborate with to achieve whatsoever they want to do. All right, so let's go to the next slide. All right, very quickly. My name is Oluwashola Emmanuel Ayebusi. You see the name colored in green, white, green. Very intentional. I'm a Nigerian, So it doesn't matter what's happening in Nigeria. I love Nigeria. We've got many problems. I mean, they will be solved, okay? By all of us, if you feel like. But then, if you feel like solving it, it brings a lot of advantages, it brings a lot of benefits. I'll talk about that, as we move on. So I have a master's degree. I have a bachelor's degree in biochemistry, University of Ado Ekiti. Now Ekiti State University, for my BSc, University of Lagos, for my MSc. I'm a Christian. I'm from Ekiti State, Ikoro Ekiti to be very precise, Ijero local government. I'm a radio host. I'm an entrepreneur. I teach people digital skills. I'm also the founder of Shola Ayibusi School of Transformation. I believe that people need transformation. You know, you cannot grow beyond the level of transformation that you have, that you have gone through. So the more transformed you are, the better, the better for you. And so for me, I strongly believe in that. And that was why I had to establish that school, to be able to help as many people as possible. I'm also a business analyst. Yeah, so that's just a few, that you want to know about me. There's a lot, but then time will not allow us. Let's go to the next slide. All right, so let's look at problems. Nobody can escape problems. All right. Many times when problem is mentioned, everybody feels, problem again, not my portion. So whose portion? We all have our own fair share of problems. In fact, there are a lot of problems to go around. You have different kinds of problems, okay? So I need you to leave this session knowing that problem is normal, all right? I know that you have problem with problem. You don't want to associate yourself with problem, okay? You're afraid of problem. You want to run away from problems, okay? But that's not fine. It will not help you, if I may say. Problem is just normal, very normal. As I'm speaking now, there could be any, technical problem happening, right? That shouldn't make us feel, oh, we should rather see it as normal. It should happen. It must happen, okay? That's problem for you, okay? Our world is not created not to have problem, all right? Now, even before the fall of Adam and Eve, there were problems, and that's why God said, Adam, take care of this garden, because there were problems for you to solve. You're not just here to sleep and wake up, give back to children. No. You've got something to do. So the concept of problem is normal, please. I know that you may have objections to this. You may have, contrary opinion, but the earlier you begin to understand this, the better for you. The concept of problem is normal. And as a matter of fact, you have been on earth for many years, 20, 30, 40 years or so. Have you ever seen any day that there is no problem in this world? Not at all. And so there won't be any day, yes, there won't be any day at all that there won't be problems. So you better begin to accept problems, okay? The earlier you realize that, there will always a problem, the better for you, okay? There'll be problem with respect to your work. There'll be problem with respect to your marriage. There'll be problems with respect to politics, governance. If you have a school set up and you have students, there'll be problems, okay? So it's better you begin to accept this concept, and begin to position yourself. All right. So, well, some people say, "Oh, challenge! I'm going through a challenge." Well, whether you call it challenge or not, it's still a problem. So, if you look around you, you're going to see a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Okay. In fact, sometimes God gives us problems. So, I feel that crude oil is a problem. Okay, it's a problem, but it's a good problem. It depends on how you want to see it. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we've got so much crude oil. Unfortunately, we are unable to refine. By the grace of God, I've been to Warri Refinery about 4 times, and I can tell you, nothing is happening there. No liter of oil, of refined product being produced. All right. God gave us a problem, but that problem is supposed to be solved by somebody, isn't it? So, and anything can constitute a problem, really. Living things, non living things, and all of that. Okay. For a lot of people, for some people who are on this session, you might even be a problem to somebody. Yeah. I know you belong to a particular team in your office, in your family, in your church, in your mosque. Are you sure you're not a problem to your leaders, okay? You want people to support you to achieve something, but in another hand, you are a problem to some other people. Yeah, because you're a problem, you need to be solved. For some people, because they're a problem, they needed to be solved by sacking them. All right. They needed to be solved, and the only way to just solve them is to sack them. Okay, so you need to look at yourself. And in fact, some people are problems to Nigeria. Nigeria itself is a problem. Okay, our leaders are problems. Okay, but some people are even problems to Nigeria, and that, that complicates the whole matter. Okay, so some people as husbands are problems. Oh my, some people, their wives, I mean, they're problems. Yeah, they have problems. In as much you are giving some people some hard time, you are HOD somewhere, and you are a problem. Okay. All right, let's move to the next slide. You need to be solved though if you're a problem. Okay, you really need to be solved. Yeah, so problems don't they finish? I mean, definitely there will be problems. There will be problems. So what do we do to problems? So many people don't like problems. So when they hear problem, oh, they are just not okay. So problems can overwhelm. Problems can overstretch you. Yes, you have financial problems, you have marital problems, psychologically you are not balanced. Problems can scatter you, as in they can scatter you. Okay, they can scatter you. Okay, some people tend to fight problems. No, you shouldn't fight problems, you should solve it. All right, you should solve it. Don't cry over problems. Okay, your child is conversing, that's a problem. You're not supposed to be jumping all around shouting, hey, my child is conversing. Oh, Nigeria is bad. Oh, my HOD is bad. Oh, there's this problem, there's that problem. That time that you're using to lament, to murmur, to complain, why don't you begin to think of how to solve that problem? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what problem you have. You've got to take action. You've got to take a step to solve that problem. And when you don't take action to solve a problem, the problem persists and begin to grow wings and begin to, promote itself and begin to get enlarged. Before you know it, the problems get complicated. So that little problem that you notice about your child, okay, why don't you fix it now before that child becomes somebody that you can never have control over again? All right, you need to begin to solve that problem. So a lot of us, we are so critical of problems. We are critics. It's something to critique. Is another thing to be critical. I mean, to just be a critic. You just criticize everything. Many times people criticize, but by the time you ask them, so you are criticizing this thing, so what's your solution to it? They don't have it. Many times. Now take a look at government. Thank God we're looking at leadership. Have you noticed that many of the people that have been activists, many of the people that that shout, that say, oh, this one, that one is not good, is not running well, give them a chance to also be in that same position. I'm telling you, they might not perform. It's one thing to be a critic. It's another thing to channel your energy to solve problem. I know that you are criticizing your father for not doing this and doing that. I know you're criticizing your wife for not doing this, for not doing that. But are you just going to leave it as criticism and not evolve a solution? No, you've got to evolve a solution. Critics, talk about problems. They spend hours talking about it. They debate about it, but never provide a solution. I know you've been complaining about your wife, you've been complaining about your husband, you've been complaining about the leaders in Nigeria. So what are you doing in your own corner to begin to proffer solution to some of these things? All right. For me, I didn't like what was happening in my state. I'm referring to Ekiti State now. So that's the more reason why I came up with a radio program. Yeah, I actually came up with a radio program. I'm not a member of staff of a radio station. I decided to host the program myself, and I pay. Yes, I pay. Policy and politics, that's what it is. I noticed that many people talk about politics, talk about these politicians, but they don't talk about policies. Okay. And so I felt that we should begin to look at policies, begin to shape the mind of people on how our education should look like, on how our health should look like. Then we should have a kind of nexus between policymakers and politicians, because sometimes you could even have policy somersault when the politicians don't have a buy-in into your policy. Okay, so you don't want a situation whereby you have a policy that is just an academic exercise. So I started a radio program, and it's been running for close to a year now. By January to be a year. Yeah, that's my own way of solving the problem, but that's cost me a lot. If you must know, it has cost me a lot. You know what it takes to to run a radio program every week. Every week. It costs a lot. Don't worry, I won't tell you what it has cost me. All right, so let's go to the next slide. So begin to take action to solve problems. Don't just talk about problems every day. Okay, so there are many problems, of course, in your life, in my life. I've got mine, and I'm handling them. Okay, you've got to handle yours. All right. And so maybe I should ask, what category of problems is easier for you to solve? Is it the one in your office, the one within the house that you live? Is it the one between you and your husband, or between you and your wife? I mean, is it spiritual problems? Or maybe leadership problem is so easy for you to solve. You are just too good with leadership. Okay, well, that's really good if you are really, really good with leadership, and any problems that comes with that, you are able to jump in and just solve it. You are that fantastic leader. I say kudos to you, because that's really good. It means that you can influence so many things. You can bring about change. And leadership in this sense doesn't really mean you are holding any political office. Okay, as a husband, you are a leader. I'm trying as much as possible to make sure that I'm not narrow-minded. I'm not just streamlining these to politics or governance. Okay, because there are so many other problems that even affect our lives, that are even of more effect than what happens in Nigeria. Yeah, some people, the problem they are facing at home is 10 times greater than the problem of Nigeria as a whole. Yes. So, if you're telling that kind of person, to solve Nigeria's problem, the person won't give you any attention. He would rather want to solve the problem at home first. Okay. And so that's a question. I don't know if there's a way we can interact on that question. Which category of problem is easier for you to solve? If I can get one or two persons, I like it to be interactive, so that I'm not just even on radio, you get feedback. In Yoruba land, we call it Era Soromagbesi. But then there's feedback now. So people can always, yeah, Samuel, you want to say something?
I want to take the lead on the questions. I'm watching the chat as well. Personally, I think it would be okay for me to solve the problem in my own life, in my own household, which is one of the reasons we having this conversation. When I can solve my own small problems, I can solve bigger community problems. I cannot want to solve the traffic problem in Lagos if I cannot
Mm,
handle my own day-to-day problems. So
mm,
I
mm,
will keep an eye on the chat. If anyone else responds, I'll let you know.
Good, good. And I like that. Very, very wonderful. Like I mentioned, the problems some people are facing right in their homes is a lot more than the problem of the whole of Nigeria. So they need to solve, they need to begin to solve their own problem, all right, before they can even have time to solve other problems, isn't it? Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right, so let's look at this dichotomy. Which one really, really gives you a lot of concern? The problem or its solution, or the lack of solution? Because sometimes, of course, all of us want to solve our problems. But sometimes you say, okay, so what's the solution to this, my problem? And you begin to look, and look, and look, and look. And sometimes you can't even get that solution. So for a lot of people, the lack of solution is even a bigger problem. All right, the lack of solution. That's why many people run away from problems, because they know that as soon as they notice a problem, they are supposed to begin to think of the solution, and if the solution is not even available, then it brings a bigger problem. All right, so some people are in, in marriage, they have a marital problem and they can't find a solution. At the end of the day, they say, well, we are divorcing based on irreconcilable differences. That's the English they use. Irreconcilable, differences. They couldn't bring up a solution. They couldn't just bring up a solution. So which one stresses you more? I mean, between these two, the problem itself or solution finding? Which one, stresses you? Which one gives you a lot of difficult, time? Let's go to the next slide. All right, so there is a skill called problem solving skill. And I really, really, request of all of you to please get this skill. Very, very important. Very, very important. But then you get it by experience, you get it by exposure. Be exposed to problems. Allow yourself to be exposed to problems. That sounds funny, right? But then, the more you solve problems, the more you begin to develop this skill. So in fact, it makes people want to come for you. They feel that, oh, if I tell this person this particular problem, is going to have a solution to it. So if you must have this skill, you must be creative. A lot of us have lost our creativity. A lot. Now, many people are so busy. You leave for work, say 5 a.m. You come back 10 p.m. You don't really have time for yourself. Uh, you can't even remember the last time you read a book, as in read it from beginning to end. Though I'm not saying read 2 pages and throw it away. Read it from beginning to end. A lot of people are not exercising their mind continuously. Continuously. So the more you exercise your mind, the more you stimulate your creativity, the better for you. It helps you to find new ways of doing things. It helps you to find new ways of solving a problem. Okay, because sometimes too you provide a solution to a problem, but it might not last. So creativity helps you to be able to find another way to solve that problem. All right, so there are many things that have been done to curb traffic. Okay, but increasingly those people that are solving that problem are devising new ways. All right, you are married. Okay, you've heard that there's so many marital problems all around. Okay, that's a problem. You must be creative in ensuring that you don't go through marital problems. Okay, creativity is so critical, is so important to problem solving. You must be analytical. Some people don't want to break things down. You have a problem, break things down. So why is this? Why is that? Exercise your mind to be analytical. Maybe that's why I went for business analysis. All right. Personally, I just like to improve myself. So this year I did that training. So and guess what? That training is worth £1,500. Is with I mean, I did it with a UK-based organization. Okay. Well, it's not because I have the money. It's just because I want to exercise my mind to solve problems. So a business analyst solve business problems. Okay. So, and one of the things you must have as a business analyst must be that analytical skill. So it helps you to solve business problems for people, for organizations. Okay. And then you must be critical if you must solve problems. Query the status quo. Okay. So why is my marriage not working? Query it. Why is my wife always angry with me? Why is my husband always this, that? Why are my children going wayward? Why is Nigeria not having 24 hours power supply? Be critical. If you don't, if you're not critical about the present situation, you're not going to change it. It's just going to remain the same. All right. Now, another thing, which is the reason why we are here, is that for you to solve a problem, many times the solution might not have to come from you. You must be collaborative. Oh, there is a marital problem. Collaborate with your wife to solve it. Many people don't want to talk to themselves. Many people don't want to, find a way of making their marriage work. Of course, it will not work. It's about collaboration. You must collaboratively make your marriage to work. You must collaboratively make your team to work. I know you have so much skills, okay? All right. I know you have so much skills, you have so much this, but you need to join hands with other people to achieve a lot. Two good heads are better than one. How much more if you now have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 good heads? As a leader, you must be able to collaboratively work with others to achieve whichever goal that you have set for yourself. Let's go to the next slide. Let me move very fast so that we can close in time. Okay, look at this bridge. Maybe this is a similitude of Ikoyi Bridge. Can one person do this? Never, never, never. A lot of people need to come together to build this kind of thing. So for that vision that you have, for that dream, for that thing that you have in your head or in any document, you need people. I know you have all it takes to solve the 24 hours. You have what it takes for Nigeria to have 24 hours power supply, but you can't do it alone, my brother. You can't do it alone, my sister. You need other people. Let's move forward, please. To the next slide. All right. So collaboration is not just beautiful, it's wisdom. All right. In all you're getting, get wisdom. Wisdom is the principal thing. In all you're getting, get understanding. So collaboration, saves you time. You don't sit down and begin to do it alone. Don't solve that marital problem, that financial problem, that whatever problem by yourself. Reach out for help. It saves you time. It helps you to achieve more. Helps you to leverage better minds and hands. You may think that you have the best of brain, but that's a lie. By the time you interact with that member of your team, it might even be a gate man, you realize that wisdom does not reside with you alone. Wisdom also resides with other people. So by collaborating, you are tapping, you are leveraging other minds. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right. So wherever you are, you need to shout this and maybe personalize it. Solve it alone and get stressed. Or you tell yourself, if I solve it alone, I will get stressed. You don't need to solve it alone. Okay, your finances are going down. Call your wife into a room and begin to pray together, my brother. Okay, you have one problem or the other, call that team member and say, oh yeah, come, let's solve this thing together. You see, that's why tech people invented, you know, uh, you know, uh, apps for collaboration. The Slack, Zoom, WhatsApp. We collaborate on these apps and then work together. Don't forget, it's a virtual world, and that's why we're even having a virtual conference this time around. So if you want to solve it alone, you will be stressed and you may even knock off. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Next slide. All right, so your phone, imagine the number of people that came together to wrote the code, the guy that designed how the phone will look like, the guy that did the mouthpiece. As a matter of fact, some phone companies, get supplies from different companies. Oh, a particular company will supply where you plug in your phone. Where the charging point. A particular company will produce the screen, and so they come together to couple it together, and it becomes that your phone. So if you must collaborate with people, you must have people skills. Every problem will be solved by people. Do you have people skills? People management skills. Do you just want to do things on your own? You don't want to do things with people. I'm sorry, you can't solve problem collaboratively. If you do that, you must have people skills. You must love people. I know people must have disappointed you one way or the other, blah, 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 blah. You can't ignore people. Don't even ignore your gate man. I know your wife might not be as brilliant as you are, but you don't ignore her. I know your husband may not be as brilliant as you are, like that woman, Abigail, if my memory serves me right, in the Bible. She was more brilliant than her husband, and she was able to save her husband by that brilliance. Okay, so the solution that you're looking for may just reside in that team member. So love people, believe in people. Okay, believe in people, trust people. There's some fathers, I've seen quite a number of them. They'll say, oh, I don't want this boy to do this thing for me. He will not do it well. He will not wash this plate well. He will not wash this clothes well. And as a 60-year-old man, you are still washing your own clothes. You have a big problem. Okay, so you must believe in people. Always tell yourself, I can't do it alone. I need people. Let's go to the next slide so that I begin to wrap up. I know my time is up, Abby. All right. So thank you so much. I really wish that you're able to get one or two things from this. When you solve problem, you attract a lot of value to yourself. In fact, some people are hired just because they want, the company wants them to solve problems. So, but when you solve problem collaboratively with other people, you get more value. Well, the team that will get the World Cup, I need you to go and research it, how many millions of dollars they'll be given. Okay, but that man that is full of ego, who says he's a star and is not able to deliver the World Cup, gets nothing. But that team that is able to come together collaboratively will get millions of dollars by the time they get the World Cup. Okay, summarily, don't move away from problems, don't move away from people, love problems, love people. There are many problems to go around, but you'll be saving yourself a lot of stress by collaborating with other people. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you most sincerely. I'll be here for questions if you have any.
Wow. I don't need to do a recap of that. I was taking note myself. I have to be honest. I didn't have a clue of what was going to happen in this session. Our next speaker is ready to go as well, so I can't wait to hear from her. But I want to say a big thank you to you, a good friend and mentor. I I will just call you P Shaw. Respectfully, you are being. Thank you for the time you put into the content. There's a lot of things that I just don't want to do a recap, but there's the bridge that you showed has a lot of significance to it. The bridge nobody built, nobody, no one person can build a bridge. If I'm getting my English correctly, right? You
Mm,
cannot build a bridge by yourself. And
mm,
the significance is bridge is a connection from one point to the other. As
mm,
young leaders, we are every day, we're waking up every day to connect people, to connect problem and solution, to marry everything together so that we can advance. So if there's anything that I personally grab from this is one, love people. Problem not the finish.
mm.
Problem not the finish. Don't run away from problems. So there's a lot more stuff. I do not want to keep our next speaker waiting. I know he's still in the morning for her. Big kudos to you, Brushola, for this in-depth thought. And last thing before I call our next speaker out, that I want to say is young people, regardless of your age, problems that exist in your life today don't necessarily need to be on your shelf for the next future, for the next generation. Solve them today. That's why you're a leader. That's why you're facing that problem. So
Mm.
don't run away from problem. Problem makes you what? Makes you a better person. And very, very, very thank you again. Without wasting too much of our time, I'm just going to do short introduction of our next speaker. She does not need much introduction like our um, outgoing speaker as well. Her name is Salim. I would let her do all of the introduction, and I'll let her walk. Uh, I talk, do the introduction. Guys, if you have time, just Google Salem. Just that's I'll leave it as that. Salem is a good friend. We met a couple of years ago. She's been an inspirational person, just like the other speaker as well. Um, Over to you, Salem. That's it. That's it. Just guys, please and please spend some time. Just Google her. She's all over the place, and I
Thank
can't wait
you.
for you guys to hear Salem. And thank you so much for waking up this early Saturday morning and to be here with us.
My pleasure. Thank you. You can hear me well, right? Technology is fine.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Samuel, for putting this together, and thank you, Shola, to the other speaker. I really took some notes from what you were saying, so thank you. Um, my name is Salem Afanide. I am originated from Calabar, Nigeria. Well, Akwa Ibom, but grew up in Calabar. I'm currently in the U.S. I shuttle between California and Alabama for my work and also different parts of the continent. I am a lawyer by training, a consultant by trade, and a businesswoman by practice. Um, so I am the founder CEO of Afangide Global. We are a Pan-African based consulting firm. We're also fully woman staffed. At last year, at the peak of our work, we had a team of over 12 African women scattered all over the continent and in the US and in Europe as well. We're currently streamlined down to a team of 7 with team members all the way from Kenya, Rwanda, Nigeria, Malawi, South Africa, and living all over the world as well. So that's a little bit about me. I think the logo is placed weirdly somewhere. I don't know if that's the same for other people, but it's kind of blocking my screen. Um, Anyways, so that's a little bit about me and what I do.
I'll fix
And
it.
okay, thank you. And I think kind of what qualifies me to give a talk on leadership, I would say. This talk, I'm going to structure it in 4 parts. So the first part being who is not a leader. I think it's important for us to interrogate the ways that we set certain people up and pedestal them as leaders when they're not actually doing the work of leading. So I want to deep dive into this work of redefining leadership. And I think the best place to start is just giving some examples of people who maybe or like attributes of people who we kind of identify as leaders who may not actually be leading, and then dive a little bit deeper into who is a leader. How can you tell when someone is a leader? And also helping us kind of shape our narrative and shape the structure around how we define leadership. And then move on to like how to lead. How do leaders lead? What are some core principles around leadership that set a leader apart from other people who are not necessarily in positions of leadership or who are not taking on the responsibility and the mantle of leadership? Because leadership is both a responsibility and a blessing and a responsibility, right? Like leadership isn't always fun. Leadership isn't always convenient. Leadership requires things of us. So how do we do that? And then for young leaders or underestimated leaders, people who don't always get the assumption of competence, where do we show our leadership? And how do we position ourselves as leaders if people don't automatically assume that we are leaders of stereotyping or whatever? The logo can actually go because I think it's still blocking. So we can take off the logo for now. Okay.
Yes, we're trying to get rid of that, and unfortunately, I don't know what's going on. I might need to stop and start. Oh, wait, can you actually do it on your end? I
Okay.
deleted the file, but it's still going away.
It's still going on.
So,
What would you want me to do?
yeah.
Do you want me to go
So
off?
let's see if you can. Yeah, it shouldn't be from your side as well. Okay, can you do anything from your side? Like just turn it off and turn it back on. I deleted all the files for the logo, but it won't go away. So I think I don't want to end the stream.
No, it's okay. I can continue if it's not going to.
But we have to be able to see your face.
Right. Let me leave and come back in, see if that'll change anything.
So let's, yeah, see if that fixes it.
Okay.
All right, sorry, everybody. We're just gonna try to solve this problem. I think I might need to end the stream and join again. It's a feature that we over. It's not going away. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. My good friend, like I said earlier, Okwemi is a legend. Selim, are you back? All right, I'll add you back on.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that. It turned out I was trying to fix the problem, but I made it worse. But Okwe was able to get us squared away. So back to you. I'll shut
All right.
up. And sorry about that, everybody.
No worries. Thank you. Let me get all of this right. My setup right again. Perfect. Okay. So a little bit about how I want to structure this talk. So I'm going to structure this talk by redefining leadership. So talking about who is not a leader, who leaders lead, and where to lead if you are kind of a young leader and underestimated a lot of public positions of leadership. So the first thing is how leader. I'm not going to name names, but I'm going to kind of share certain archetypes we often esteem leadership to, but who are not qualified leaders. if you would like to around this, I wrote an article this year for my organization, Affinity Global, called Expertise. That's a really good space where I dive into a lot of the things that I'm talking about. So you can write that down and look that up. It's called Decolonizing Expertise on the Affinity Global website. An archetype of someone who we often estimate leadership to, but who's actually not a leader, who accumulates power for personal gain. So we tend to think that when people are incredibly ambitious, that equates to them being leaders. But a lot of really ambitious accumulating power are not using that power that they're accumulating for collectively self-interested in positioning themselves to continue to accumulate more power. And value people who are ambitious. We tend to value people who we have an ambition to as leaders, but we have to critically observe how people leadership skills that they have, or how people value the people in their spaces. If someone is accumulating power, ambition only drives them towards personal gain, or even just preservation of their own family, their own community, then we need to start questioning if that person is a just person. And as we give power and bestow, we have to critically observe what they're doing with the power, what they're doing with the influence and leadership that we're offering to them. Another kind of archetype of someone who we as a leader but isn't is someone who has title, prestige, and wealth. Like, we always accumulate or prestige, someone who's very well known, very well liked, or someone who has a lot of money. We give leadership to those people regardless of what they're doing with their title, regardless of what they're doing with their wealth. And again, as members of a society, we need to be about not just bestowing leadership on people generously. We can say this person is, but that doesn't make them a leader. This person is someone who has a lot of money, but that doesn't make them a leader. Really well known, well liked, has a lot of prestige, has a lot of social capital. But the sooner that we can clarify those things for ourselves, we know that these people may have these things, but we don't to a standard of responsibility, because we know that they're not interested in being leaders. Again, they're just people born into money. They're just people who chase titles, but they're not interested in leadership. And leadership is a blessing. Another kind of archetype of people in this section, who is society we often ascribe leadership towards, are people who are all talk, no track. People like that. When you bring them into a room, they're always like, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. All the solutions in their head, they will tell you all the things that they're going to do, the list of things that they've done, every position that they've occupied. There's nothing of value that they've provided to others. They're all talk. They have the language down. They know the best ideas. They always know what other people need to do with their lives. But when you look at their own lives, you don't see them leading themselves well and using the positions of influence that they do possess and that they talk a lot about to create any kind. That's how you know. All talk, no track record. And then another kind of we bestow leadership to, who is not necessarily a leader, is someone who takes other people's work and passes it. This one is a tricky one, because those people tend to be in a lot of assumed leadership. And so because they know the thing, because they're in community with people, it's easy for them to, cite something or say something or act as if they have read that they actually don't. They've just read someone else's work and co-opted it. And there's all of us people who, make our expertise better. But the difference is this type of people who are not leaders, they don't credit their ideas. They're not giving credit to their team for helping them get to where they are. They're not social resources that they have. They just want to make you believe that leadership is something that they possess. But then you realize that they don't actually have anything of value that they have self-generated, self-created. So now that we've talked about who is not a leader, I want to talk about who is some of the things that have come up for me as I've been talking about who's not a leader, right? Is someone who to create meaningful change. And meaningful change doesn't have to be on a grand scale and be, oh, you know, everybody uses this tap at this time, that tap, or let me encourage other people to use this other tap so that we can have an equal number of people in the morning, right? Like meaningful change doesn't have to be something that is significant to everyone people belong to, that we belong to as leaders. We have to have some kind of meaningful change to be able to say, because of this person, this thing is different. Something of value has been added into the world. So I have an acrostic of leadership and how to define who is a leader. The first one, LEAD. So the first one is listening, right? The L is for listening. So leaders are not always the people who are the loudest in the room. Actually, I would posit that most quiet people in the room. When they're sharing a space, they're the people who are asking a lot of questions, understand the dynamics of the space. When they're doing something that is new to them, they're not the few conclusions about someone who they don't know, about a space that they're not even a part. And listening can come from just being in spaces with other people, listening to what's going on. It can come from news. It can come from, just being on Twitter and saying, what are the trends? What are people talking about? What is going to the market and saying, what style of actually are people buying these days, right? Like leadership listens. Their ears are to the ground. They always want to know what is timely. They are potent. They always want to know what is happening around them. So they pay attention often more than they spy a good leader. Another characteristic of a good leader, so the E, is a leader engaged. So while you may be an introverted person, I think I identify as an introverted person. Leaders are not the people who are just sitting to the side. Leaders are people who get in community. They're not quick to separate themselves from other people. They get into the community. They're okay with things being messy. They're okay with not having all the answers. They don't, and then they come and step in. They are part of things that are going on. So leaders, good leaders, looking for opportunities that they can engage, that they can tap in, that they can say, okay, I don't really know how to try. Right? Leaders are engaged. They're not separate and apart. They're engaged. Good leaders are engaged. The church, they are participating. They're not just complaining about something. They're working to be part of the solution. The A is one that we don't talk a lot about, but it's accountable. Good leaders are accountable to other people. They don't just accumulate and accumulate and accumulate. They have someone in their lives who can, the way that you did this thing, it was not good. Then to argue, they may try to say, oh, help me understand it from your perspective. But good leaders, all 1, 2, or 3 people in this world who can call them and say, hey, like, tell me, they have people who they can speak to, who can speak to them honestly and transparently. Yes, people. By the time you see someone only surrounding themselves with people who tell them what they want to hear, ego, they're not looking for leadership. Why this is so important is we all have blind spots. All of us have blind spots. So I'll give an example from a meeting that I had recently with my team. Because my team is all over the country, all over the world, really. Time zones, right? So we have, as of last year, when we had a team of 12, we were in 5 and so that was very challenging for when we would do meetings. And for me, I would make it convenient for the people who were more on kind of the Western Hemisphere at the time. So our team meetings were usually, early mornings, time, right? Which is where I was based at the time. And so one about is exactly was exactly like 12 hours. We had a 12-hour time difference. So I would try to keep her in mind, but also we had
the team members who had young kids. So mine was like, hey, this time thing, like it actually doesn't work for us who have young kids, where we have to put our kids to bed, and you know, and I really prioritize hiring moms, and I really prioritize bringing people who maybe may not necessarily other kinds of high-profile jobs because of their parents' status. That's something that was really I have a blind spot around that because I'm not a mom, and I'm also in a different part of the world. And so while I was doing things, I was leaving out a pretty significant group of people on my team, and it was not leaving them out because our team meetings were a requirement. So they had there for the evening, you know, maybe like get partners who are not really good at putting their to help put their kids to bed. Meanwhile, the kids are crying and they're not able to focus, you know. And helping, being accountable to me meant that anyone on my team could say you're trying to work this thing, but here's this blind spot that you have. This time is actually, this is the times I'm putting our kids to sleep. We're doing bedtime routines, and it's not convenient for team meetings, right? And that was something that I incorporated and was able to call a team meeting at a time that worked for everyone. And so that's even the most conscious of us, even those of us who have, you know, we're showing up with other people, how caring we are to other people, we still have blind spots because of our good leadership means that we have to make ourselves open enough that the people who are communities are able to come to us and say, hey, maybe you have a blind spot around this, or have you considered this, or maybe you have or this thing that you're doing, this project that you think you're going to do, like here's why I wouldn't do it right now. These type of things don't often work around this time, right? And we may not always take that other people's opinion and go by it because everyone has an opinion, but you need to have people who you trust, and you need to have people and you need to have people who you're accountable to, who can come to you, who even feel comfortable coming, this thing that you're doing, I wouldn't do it this way, and here's how it's affecting me. So being really open is a sign of a good leader. And then the D is good leaders are doers. Just talk. Leaders have actions that back up. So good leaders are not afraid to step out. Good leaders are not afraid to try. Feel afraid, we're going to try it anyways. Even when we fail, we're going to own our failure. At least I try to do something about this, right? But people who are perpetually afraid and stop them from doing the thing that would actually be of service, that would actually provide value to other people. See, they're not yet leaders. And part of leadership and part of good leadership skills is practicing being a doer, is practicing being action oriented in your duties that you're in service to, with your people, whether that is in your family, whether that's in your home, your church, whether that is just in the streets that you live in, whether that wherever you are, being a doer, being someone who's action oriented, being someone who does not just wait for other people to enjoy it. So that's kind of my definition. When we define, look for people who listen, look for people who are engaged, they're not just sitting on the sidelines, who listen to others, who have people who can tell them things, and look for people who are action oriented. That's how you can tell the differences between someone who we just as with actually providing value as a leader. And so I get the next part I spend a little bit of time on is how do leaders lead? How do leaders lead? Because I have a business that employs people. Am I a leader because I am an activist and an advocate for equitable policies? No, I'm a leader because I'm able to anticipate people's needs and provide value to my. At the core of leadership is the anticipation of needs. I mean by that. That means you don't always wait for people to tell you things before you do them. You anticipate going to be. How are you able to cultivate that skill? Through what I said at the beginning, listen. So someone doesn't have to come and tell you, oh, maybe we need an umbrella. Person is always walking home from the rain. Like, you're able to see your neighbor who is elderly, look by the rain. You don't need someone to tell you to come and answer, take that person an umbrella. Like, you have going out with that umbrella. Anticipate the needs. That is what sets you up. You can say, okay, now I'm a leader because I've done this one time. But a constant practice of anticipating needs, that is what eventually sets you up to provide solutions that people with enough regularity to call you a leader. So leaders lead by anticipating needs regularly and by being trustworthy. Of good leaders. These are three, and not just hallmarks, but like things that you do. Right? You do it regularly. What that allows for is you that in small ways and in big ways to match the right solutions to the right problem. Crisis of leadership that we have right now, I would say, in the Nigerian context and a lot of the well-traveled around the continent, and I think there's a crisis of leadership on the continent, on the continent that I've been to. And one of that points that always comes up to don't have right solutions for the right problems. They are not matching the solutions that they're providing to the problems that people. So you will hear and even a world leader, that's not just relegated to terrible leaders, bad leaders who provide solutions that have nothing to do with what people need. In the US, which is where I currently am, what people need and what people are ready to talk about is we're not going to get any kind of policy solutions that are related to universal basic income. First check was an attempt at that and a way to see that people actually respond really well, and then there is money from the government to stimulate the economy. We know that that's statistically the leaders of the United States are not going to invest in those. Say the money does not exist. It does, but they're not solutions to the timely problems that people have. And so doing this in small ways allows you to practice as a young leader, as an emerging leader, so that when the stakes are really high, you're able to say, oh, right now, my ears are to the ground. I'm not just on the sidelines in my own bubble. I'm actually able to, and these are the solutions that are needed. Because imagine, back to my example of you see your elderly neighbor, and then you say, oh, you know what he really needs right now? Let me take him a bath while he must be hungry. The thing that he needs is an umbrella so that he can, but your focus is on another thing completely. It's on what you want to, what the person actually needs, right? So we have to be willing to listen, so that we can match the right solutions to the right problems. Good leaders lead is that good leaders are vulnerable. This is what worked. This is what didn't work. They open themselves up so that other people can learn from their experience. They don't hold all of that closely to their chest. Perfecting, because something that our culture is very private. It's very what we believe about other people and people who are looking to harm us and all of that. But I'm leaders who I really respect and emulate. Good and even great leaders, parents about the things they're still learning. See what I did there? I told you all what I'm still learning. But grateful and willing to be transparent about the things that they're not great at, the things that they need, the challenges that they have coming, because they too can get support when they're transparent. So one of the ways that I've learned that this year has been to just share openly what my organization needs. As you can imagine, running an organization of this I do while doing the kind of work that I do is extremely challenging, and who financially supports myself and is responsible for financially supporting other people. That's been really challenging this year, and so there's there was a fear, people who I trust, they're like, hey, I actually need like access to funding, I need investor capital, I need grants, I need donations, like financially, I need to support my team, whether we're being paid on time or not, because sometimes you have consulting contracts who don't pay you till the end of the contract. And I'm bringing people on who I have to pay monthly, right? My team relies on me to pay payments when I'm still building in the founding and building stages of this. I've had to just be open about something that we're socialized to talk about publicly as needing. But I've learned that about, hey, like I actually need access to funding resources. It's money. It's not that my business is not doing well. It's a viable business, but our month are not always equal to the revenue that's generated every month. And it's like over time, by the end of the year, it's just the ways that we get paid isn't always supportive of who need to be paid monthly. And in doing that, I've had really great successes with people who are potential venture investors, people who have said, oh, I can't invest, but like if you ever need to take I can offer you this personal loan. And that was so shocking to me, how much people were, you've seen your track record, we know that your business is succeeding, we've seen your receipts, like we know about, and because you've been honest and because you've been transparent, here's this back, you know, you don't have to pay back with interest or anything. Here's a loan until your check out. So that has been really touching to me as I'm learning slowly to be honest, to be transparent, people the opportunities to support me, especially in an area like money that is so touchy. As I go into this next year, and I hope for all of us as we're evaluating these areas of growth, that we're a little bit more transparent, a little bit more open about what we're trying to build. As I'm practicing this, my own personal goals for the year are with people who I trust. So just saying, hey, like this is what I want to do. I'm thinking about for next year. What do you think? Or do you have any resources that can support me? Do you have any books in me so that I can grow in this area? Do you have any kind words, any supportive words, so that I also grow in the way in my own personal life and in my own personal work in my business, that I can grow because I'm supported by the community of people who I bring close to me. Okay, so finally, I want to share a little bit about where we lead. So I'm young, I'm a woman, I work, most of my clients are in the global north. So I'm, you know, I'm Black, like fund, resource, or see and think of me as a leader. Even when I think a lot of us can identify with that. We're young leaders, we're underestimated leaders, for whatever reason. Don't always support our ideas. People may see our brilliance, but don't always want to back it with their money. You know, just look at us and assume that we don't know what we're doing. For whatever reason, whatever bias that they are flexing our leadership skills. Because the problem is when you're not socialized or give you opportunities to lead, right? And like the previous speaker was saying, all of these things practice. You don't just get up one day and become the CEO of an organization and say, okay, now I'm going to lead. You will fail. That's not being set up for success. As someone who's worked in corporate America as a lawyer, my first year as a lawyer was bad because it just, not that I lost case at time. I went to the courtroom, every judge intimidated me. I just did it. But advocacy is a skill. And the more you practice the skill, the better you get at it. The more you practice it, the better you get at it. Leadership is a skill. Problem solving, creating crushed by the weight of pressure, putting events together. I'm sure as Samuel can tell you, it's a skill. The more we get better at the things that we do. So as leaders, as young people, how do we do this? I have 3 ways. Number 1, lead yourself. This is that I've taken seriously since I was 17 years old. I do this thing where I call meeting with myself, and I'm like, okay, Salem, the CEO, is going to be in the room, and I'm going to talk to, okay, this is the goal for the year, and this is what we're going to do, right? So I treat as the first person I have to lead. How to myself, for myself, in my own life. How can people look at my own life and the way that I lead my life and say, oh, this person is someone who I would want to support me in this way because I see how they do. That's incredibly valuable to me. And honestly, the only way that I have been able to be set up, I have led myself. So by sitting down, having these executive meetings with myself, then every 6 months, then like now it's every week. I sit down at the top of the week and I say, okay, the things I need to get done. These are our priorities. These are the goals that I set at the top of the year. How am I doing this? I am brutally honest with myself. I give myself grace and also opportunities for growth and improvement. Sit down with myself and I have the hard conversations. I say, and then I do that. I do that for my personal life, and right. So I'm able to separate it and say, okay, as a person, you said, how are you doing on those goals? What kinds of support do you need to do on those goals? As a CEO that you wanted to accomplish, how are you doing on that? I do that for all the different areas of my life. You said you wanted as like a friend. How are you growing as a friend? How have you done that this month? Right? I'm able to help, and I do that regularly enough to where I think people can see the ways that I feel confident when they entrust themselves to me in other leadership positions. Of leadership and how we flex our skills is leading where we are. So like your neighborhood, whoever and wherever you are, being able to this is what it means to show up and be of service where I am today, my home. So like that's something I grew up with, the responsibilities. I have 2 younger brothers, and say like when I was in corporate America, everything I learned about being a good supervisor, I learned by being and those things are often, it's a joke. People are like, haha, but I mean it seriously. There's leadership that I learned from how do you work with people who have different personality styles. Well, how do you convince people about things when they want to do something completely different? How do you get people on the side? How do you how you strategic and solution oriented and you when people want different things, but everyone has to agree on one thing. Exactly where you are to practice those skills, so that when you now go to a place where you're not dealing with people who are your loved ones, it actually feels really easy. Leadership in corporate America was always so easy. When you have to do conflict resolution with people who are your loved ones, your family, people who you are sensitive, you're very personally invested, versus now having to do it in rooms with people who care about them, but I'm not vulnerable in the same way. So it feels like an easy thing to do, right? So leading and taking that seriously, taking yourself seriously, not in an authoritarian way. Bringing your people together, saying, hey, what are your goals for this year? That's something that from where you are. I do that every year with my brothers. What are your goals for this year? How can I support you? Tell me what some of your goals are, and then we can do a strategy session. And so now I'm really good at doing them since I was 15, 16 with my brothers, right? So those things are not after very big advantages to leading where you are, to like being vulnerable, to do public speaking, to practice conflict resolution in the spaces where you are, because we're going to be naturally really, really good at those things, and people will entrust leadership to you when they see that you're good at those. They won't entrust leadership to you until they see that you're good at those things. And then to kind of broaden how we lead, and my final point is just do a map of your ecosystem. So look at in the nature of a SWOT analysis, where are you physically located, your social circle, what are your passions, and what are the problems that exist in all of these spaces. Start working on creating solutions to them. It's very simple, but one of them, where am I physically located? Where's my social circle? What am I passionate about? What are the areas, and how can I start thinking really critically about those problems and then to those problems, bringing people together around those problems and solutions, anticipating needs, parents about my own issues in those spaces, and bringing people along who may have similar other people to talk to, creating solutions. All of those things can start to this new year as you start practicing your leadership skills. Because again, strategy, problem solving, creativity, all of those things are skills, and the better we get at them. You don't have to be old. You don't have to be in a position. You don't have to be a business leader. You don't have to have a business to be a leader. You just need to be solve problems, provide value, anticipate needs, and humble people will see you as that and give you more opportunities for that. So that's. Are there any questions or thoughts? But thank you, Samuel, for having me.
No, incredible. Thank you for the time spent. Unfortunately, one thing that I don't like that I hope we can all solve is this network problem. When people are dishing out the good stuff, that's when networks start messing up. The first session was amazing. We were just supposed to top it up with this last session, and I do want to apologize for all those that are streaming and those that will be watching later on. We want to provide the best value, but network just won't let us provide that. But a lot of things were said. Salem, thank you so much. One thing that I didn't introduce Salem. One thing that I would have said is she brings people together. When you look up Salem and what all she's doing, excuse me, all she's doing is about people, is around people. And when she mentioned, I really want you guys to think about this: listening, being engaged, and being accountable. You cannot stay away from that as a leader, regardless of your age, regardless of the stage you are in life. So incredible thank you to all of our speakers. I'm keeping an eye on just YouTube and the other chat system here. I don't know. I'm not keeping a track of Facebook, but if I don't see any comments, I know we have reached the time. But I do want to say massive. They put in the time. Unfortunately, the network and the low tech of the best. But that's part of us being leaders. How do we solve these network problems? How do we solve these power problems? We need people. Like they both said, we need people. We need to be creative. And she mentioned something that was extremely important: being open. You have to be open as a problem solver. Don't get intimidated. When she started her career as a lawyer, she was intimidated. Stuff. And I know how what she does. I listen to her podcast. So if you can find a podcast, definitely listen to that. You can't be intimidated as a leader. You have to solve your own problem. So this is why I'm coming in. In all of these, we've talked about how do you lead people, and also how do you lead from your inside? How do you lead as a married man? How do you make sure you know the problem? How do you make sure you're not running from a problem? I want to kind of marry all of these together in 2 minutes. I know we're taking everyone's time. The conclusion of this whole thing is, as a leader, everyone is a leader, but not everyone is an effective leader. One. And two, when you lead without keeping people at the center of your leadership, you are not only leading other people into the wrong place, but you're leading yourself into the wrong place. If people can't tell you that, hey, Sam, you're messing up, do it my own way. I live in a country whereby you just think you can do it your own way. But when you look at it, everything is surrounds people. So kudos to our leaders for making it about people. Again, I didn't give them more to talk about, and thank you for doing justice to this topic. So in conclusion, again, your next level is right there, but it requires you collaborating. It requires you speaking to people. It requires you to listen. It requires you to be open. As we go into year 2023, I want you guys to keep this in mind. I know election is coming in Nigeria. We're picking leaders. Just know that regardless of who comes on as the next president, the solution to Nigeria problem. I was in Lagos recently, and one thing that I only say whenever I'm driving with my wife is, "Hey, Jesus Christ of Nazareth." These people drive like something else, right? How in the world can we solve this problem? Everyone thinks they have a solution. Everyone wants to outsmart the other person, but we're not working together. Only if we can take extra 30 seconds to be patient, to listen to the other person, listen to the signs on the road, we can get to our destination safer without scratches in our car. So in the new year, as you're going into the new year, as you're making plan, keep people in your plan. Your destination is right there, but you need to get going with people. Like our previous speaker said, our first speaker, if you do it by yourself, you're going to be stressed. So, as election is coming up, choose leaders wisely, but more importantly, lead yourself into the next level of greatness that you desire. And for you to do that, you have to communicate. I always say this as a young leader, you have to have three things. One, you have to have communication. You have to have automation. You cannot carry stress on top of your head. You can never carry stress of your. So have automation, things that automate your processes. A lot of people are content creator, create content automatically. Let them be posted automatically so you are not stressed about it, and you also have some consistency. The last but not the least, from my own point, is delegation. You cannot do it by yourself. So this is why I say kudos to Okwe for the incredible work that he's doing on the background. I called him up today. I was like, hey, let's get things going. Let's do it together. I was working with one of our team members, but she couldn't make it. So delegation is extremely important. Have people do things on your behalf. Ultimately, your greatness is right there. You can get to it. Include people without wasting too much of our time. Guys, please and please, or if you can push, you can display the details of our speakers where people can find them. Please and please do so. We'll put this in the comment whenever it gets to YouTube as well. Please and please connect with these leaders. Support all the work that they are doing. I am a big supporter of the work they're doing. Please and please support all the work that they are doing. And please don't hesitate to slide into their DM to ask questions. Salam is amazing. She brings people together. The same thing with Roshola as well. He speaks on the radio. These are problem solvers. So let's start collaborating, regardless of who the next president is. I'm trying not to say stuff, so I won't get in trouble. And I know time is up. Regardless of who the next president is, you are capable of solving your own problem. Like a former American president once said, ask not what your country can do for yourself. What can you do for your country? So lead yourself into greatness, lead other people into greatness. Let's come together. So massive thank you. I don't see any comments. I don't see any questions. I would not want to I would not want us to what I would have put in. I don't want to take too much time. I know there's a World Cup going on. I want to catch that myself. But kudos to the speakers. Thank you so much. Sorry for the network issues, guys. Thank you for giving me your extra time. We'll catch up with you next year, and I can't wait to hear more about your greatness. Peace, love, and light to you guys. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you so much, Alan, for staying up for us. Thank you, Bro Shola. Incredible work. Thank you so much. Thank you for those that will be watching later on. Peace.